Welcome, everybody, to this month's Unpop Review Entertainment Thursday Night Crew movie review show. Today, and then this month, we bring you underdog stories. But I question you, what exactly is an underdog story? Let's find out, y'all. We'll be right back with Straight Outta Compton.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Unpopular Review.
Thank you all for clicking on our faces.
New flag with all that.
Okay, so I wrote down some notes.
Shots do that. I don't want to sit too hard. That's twice. That'll probably go over about as well as Colonel Dippy.
Because there was no Jay White site.
Okay, just straight up gangbanging. This story has been fit. You gotta pay attention.
So, Unpopular Review.
Cruising down the street in my 6'4".
Hey, that was dope. Listening to Compton's very own Ice Cube, Eazy-E, and Dr. Dre. I gotta tell you, you are witnessing history.
People are scared of you guys. You have a unique voice. The world needs to hear it.
They want N.W.A? Let's give them N.W.A.
This is only the tip of the iceberg, gentlemen. What's going on? What do you have in that bag?
Are you kidding me?
You can't take that in the bus.
And that's what we are talking about today, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, rap fans, non-rap fans. Underdog Stories is this month's theme, and a competitor, a competitor taught to have little to no chance to winning the fight or the contest. That is the definition of the word underdog. And today you got some underdogs with you. You got your boy Mike Knox. You got the executive consultant. Well, some people call him the rain cloud or whatever. We talk about that later. And then we got the guy that's always smiling on Pop Reviews, Victor Moan Jr. What's going on tonight, fellas? No, ma'am. How you doing?
Chilling, fam. Straight out of Compton, man. Just chilling.
Straight out of Compton. You know who picked this was, y'all. Y'all see where I'm at, right? I'm here.
Of
You know, I
course.
always tell when it's my pick. It's a little bit more, urban at times. I mean, I did pick The Notebook, right? So I think you can see my vice of how I pick it. Like movies, I can watch anything from Singing in the Rain, right? Do we still have that? We still have that clip? Because one day we're gonna do that movie, right?
Good morning.
We're gonna do that all the way to Straight Outta Compton, yo. But this movie is truly about what it is. It's about N.W.A. Not gonna say it with attitudes, starring for the first time ever O'Shea Jackson playing his father, Ice Cube. Jason Mitchell playing Eazy-E, who, by the way, Hollywood did a bad job on him. I apologize to him. Let's get that brother back in movies, as he got wrongfully fired from off the TV show The Shy to come to find out they were all lies. Get that man back in job. He does a great role. Also did a great job in Kong Skull Island. And then Corey Hawkins playing Dr. Dre. He goes on to even play in 24. I'm not a fan of that show, but I heard everybody love that show. I mean, this show definitely takes you through N.W.A. and how they came about. You got my man, Mr. Hodges, MC Ren. I know him as Voodoo. If you're a fan of Friday Night Lights, that's where he started at. That was his first role, was in Friday Night Lights. He also goes to play on, is that Hawkman and Black Adam. Okay, you might know him from there as well. But this is a new cast, biography, so to speak. 1988, the groundbreaking group known as N.W.A. changed music forever. And I look back now as someone back then, Vic, and Chris, who come up through the hip hop ranks, through your Curtis Blows to now. And I remember when N.W.A. came out and they were saying bitches and hoes, and they were being accused for being very wrongfully talking like that. A lot of higher ups came out and said, we got to stop this. This is trash. And I look at it now. If you go back and look at how the world has changed, and we got this cancel culture, we're canceling this, we're canceling that. They owe these brothers an apology because that language back then is PG compared to what we hear today in music. Talking about the violence in this inner cities, the drug game in inner city, how the police brutality, most importantly, one of their biggest songs, F the Police, has gone crazy. So I'm gonna shut up right there. That is the basis of the movie. We follow them, how they got their upstart from their beginnings to their end. And I'm gonna start with the executive consultant because he's over there doing something. So I like when he's busy and I can interrupt him while we're doing a show. So, executive consultant, your take on Straight Outta Compton. You want to give him N.W.A? Let's give him N.W.A. Your takes.
So I never saw this movie. I had absolutely zero interest in this movie whatsoever. It did not appeal to me whatsoever. Of course, I know a little about the N.W.A, mostly for what I heard, the rumors and stuff like that. But I always stayed away from that because I don't like knowing backstage drama and all that crap. It annoys me, right? But I was always a big fan of Dr. Dre, right? Eazy-E was all right. But I was always a big fan of Dr. Dre. I was a big fan of Ice Cube. Now, that being said, when he picked this movie, I was like, okay, well, it's not the worst. Let's see, worst look at last month. So let's go ahead and give it a chance.
Parasite or Date Movie? Both of those was worse than this one, by the way. Let's see.
Date Movie was not Parasite. Yes, you're absolutely right. There's very few movies you're gonna mention that I think is worse than Parasite. Very few, if any. Okay.
Date Movie. I'm sorry. Actually, I'm wrong. That's not true.
Yeah. Please, let's not go there. But Straight Outta Compton needs to be put back into Compton. I was watching this for the first time. First of all, I was already upset because it was over 2 hours long. All right. And then I'm watching this and I'm like, yeah. I understand that we're telling a backstory. I hate seeing, how am I going to word this? I don't know how else to word it, but to word it like I'm going to word it. I hate seeing African Americans behave like that. It annoys me. It bothers me, right? And what do I mean by that? Shout out to it. I don't, just because you are living in a certain situation doesn't mean that you have to maintain that certain situation. I know a phrase that we always hear, especially in the African American community and pretty much anywhere, never forget where you came from. And I appreciate that. I recognize that, right? You should always remember where you came from. You should always remember your roots, no pun intended. But at the same time, don't you want to better yourself? And I'm not talking about getting money. Better yourself as an individual, right? I didn't see these people do it. And it was bothering me. You were making money. You were doing all these things, yet you're still doing all these things and acting a certain type of way. That's not becoming of you as a human being. Then I got a phone call telling me I have to go to a pool party because I was watching this on 4th of July. So I'm like, okay, fine, I'll go. And I'll finish the rest of this movie later. When I was leaving, though, this movie was getting a thumbs down. Spoiler alert. This movie was getting a thumbs down because why in the world would you have me watch something like this when you know I don't like these types of movies? Right? Why would you do it? Have we learned nothing from Ali? Okay,
to broaden your horizon? That's all.
I don't want to hear it. But okay, fine. Why? That's what you want to do? Whatever. We'll do that. So the next day I turned this back on because I have an obligation to Unpopular Review Entertainment to watch this movie and finish this movie and give an honest critique. And I started getting into it. And it took Ice Cube leaving for me to start getting into it. More than
that's the growth you said that it wasn't in the movie, though. That was the growth, right?
Yeah, the growth.
Okay.
We'll go down a bit.
Well,
I'm glad it's Vic's turn.
Well, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie because there's a lot of things that I remember. Like I remember Eazy-E, and I remember I had the Chronic album, the little CD with the weed plant on it. I probably still have it somewhere, actually. It was nice to see Snoop Dogg in there, or a portrayal of Snoop Dogg. It was nice to see just that entire time. So now, I kind of disagree when it comes to them acting a certain way. And the reality of the situation is just that, like, being raised in a certain hood, sometimes you don't know any different. You know what I mean? Like, the United States is a place that's very, very big, and black people are not a monolith. Like, black people don't have an accent. Like, that's specific to black people. You know what I'm saying? Like a regional culture.
Mhm. New
So
York
like,
accent,
no, like
Midwest
for
accent,
example,
that kind of.
look, Latinos, we all listen out for accents. Like, Colombians can spot a Dominican accent a mile away, and
Mhm.
vice versa. You know what I mean? Americans don't have that kind of culture. So like, the American culture is way more regional. So like, black people from New York are very different from black people in LA or black people in Montana. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that when it comes to what my point in saying all that is just that, like, they didn't necessarily know much different, because yeah, they made the money and then they still went back to the hood. Like, Tupac did the same thing, but then at the same time, that was one of the reasons why people love Tupac so much, because he didn't necessarily, he made his money and then stay real to himself. But then at the same time, you also see in this movie how much some of them evolved. Like, one of the things that I was happy to see was Ice Cube writing Friday
Mhm.
on his like little computer, because some of them evolved, some of them didn't, but you certainly could see how things progress for each of them over time. So that's something that I really enjoyed, because at first I thought it was just going to be a lot of the arrest scene, even though the arrest scene I resonated with, because mind you, one time I've been stopped and cuffed just for fitting the description, and the only reason why I got let go is because I wasn't breathing heavy, because the suspect was running. Right. So like, I can definitely understand what it's like to just be looked at and assumed on. And that's exactly what happened to them. Like, if Jerry wasn't there to just stop the BS, then it probably would have gotten worse, because those guys were definitely looking for a collar. And I also know what it is to be in the receiving end of, a cop that's just looking for a collar to get in some overtime, to basically benefit himself. You know what I mean? Just looking for anything that he can get. So in many ways it resonated me, especially my hood side. But then at the same time, like, I just remember this story, and a lot of it is based around Rodney King. F the Police. F the Police is a very powerful song, but it's not without reason. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, sometimes people just want to care about their own, benefits. Like, a lot of police officers just care about their brotherhood and don't necessarily care about the neighborhood. So, um, yeah, this is very powerful. I mean, like, but the thing about it is that it's all a matter of perspective, because you got to care about the history and the people involved in order to appreciate this, in my opinion. So
I
there's a
think when
lot
it
to say.
comes,
I mean,
I think
I
when it
didn't. But
comes to, I'm sorry, go ahead.
the only thing that sucked is just that it dragged. I think they could have told the story a
And the
lot shorter.
ending, they could have definitely shaved off 20 minutes of this movie.
Yeah, yeah, it
100% I agree with
definitely
you on that one.
it
That
definitely dragged. Even though, but it's definitely gonna hit differently, because there's a lot of people that don't remember Eazy-E.
was,
Um,
I don't want to forget that point that you kind of just made that I think is being missed here in this film. And I think that's missed when it comes to any film. It's like I explained to my daughter about having the expectations of what we're actually going to the movies to see. Right.
mhm,
So in our case, it's slightly different, right? One of our crew members picks a movie, we're forced to watch it out of obligation, right? So
mhm.
but I still urge the understanding of, and in this thing, because we talk, what we're watching, right? So, in watching a biopic, it's about those guys, those 4 individuals, 3 in which changed hip hop forever to this day, being Eazy-E, Ice Cube, and Dr. Dre. Okay. There's no Eazy-E. There's pretty much no West Coast rap music because they could not do it. Cube was already signed to somebody else. Eazy was not a rapper. He was a drug dealer who was friends with a DJ who fronted money to help these guys get over to get out the hood. But here's what always happens in music and what this movie completely focused on and what broke N.W.A apart is the music scene is the worst business there is. They were getting robbed. So you're getting paid essentially. No, they're eating steak and lobster. They're eating fat burger. There's a difference. That's why they're still in the hood trying to make the money. Dre didn't make no real money until he signed with Death Row Records and Suge Knight. And this movie also depicts that and shows that. This was a coming of age story, if there ever was a coming of age story about a group of guys trying to make it, some loving music, some just trying to get out the way, and they mix them together and they form something that to this day is one of the most powerful rap groups of all time. And they should always be remembered. Eazy going to be remembered for 2 things. For N.W.A and for finding Bone Thugs and Harmony. Those are the 2 things Eazy's remembered for. Dr. Dre, hell, the man had made so much music. He makes music headphones now that does it. And Ice Cube's going to be more known for acting and writing movies like Friday than even probably rapping, which honestly, he's one of the greatest rappers to ever have lived. Top 10, hands down, when it comes to lyricism, is Ice Cube. Okay? This movie shows all of that. Like Chris spoke about not elevating and changing, and he went back, he fixed a little bit, but I still was waiting for him. It was completely that. If you're talking about you saw some growth. You understand? So this is just life. We have named 10 people you've known for 10 years. Some friends have grown, and some friends are in the same location. You know what I mean? And that's just life. And this actually shows that, and it shows like they all living in one house, right? Made no sense. Ice Cube was smart enough to leave. He knew his value. You know what I mean? So he left, started his own thing, and that would happen. It was maybe the second biggest, at this point, this was the biggest rap beef in rap history. The first one before this was before your times was Curtis Blow versus Kumo D, LL Cool J. But this is actually the same time. I was thinking N.W.A started in 1988, right? Mama Said Knock You Out is 1987, 88, 89, around that same time frame. So I thought this movie showed everything of the aspects of the inner city, how to make it in music, how to be careful with contracts, and this is the sad part about music, almost every single musical talent you've heard almost was robbed. TLC, robbed. You know what I'm saying? Like just over and over, some of the biggest groups of all time made no money. But we're going to take our first break, guys. We're going to come back, give you our thumbs up, thumbs down, quotables if you have them, and we're going to find out what else we got coming up this month here on Unpopular Review Entertainment. We'll be right back, y'all.
Since my injury, I can't make new memories. Everything fades. If we talk for too long, I'll forget how we started. And next time I see you, I'm not going to remember this conversation. I don't even know if I've met you before. I've told you this before, haven't I?
Looking for a sponsor for the first Jamaican bobsled team.
Their dream was to compete in the Olympics. But they chose a sport they knew nothing about. This is the true story of 4 unlikely athletes.
How about I beat your butt right now?
How about I draw a line down the middle of your head so it looks like a butt?
Who weren't prepared for what they were about to face.
It's a beautiful afternoon in Calgary.
And they took the whole world along for the ride.
Woo! Used to follow your dreams.
Follow your dreams.
And we're talking straight out of Compton right now, guys. Underdog is our theme for this month, and it was my pick first. And truth be told, I picked straight out of Compton because Chris picked the movie that I personally don't consider being an underdog. And I figured when I Googled it, in all fairness, it said it was. Okay. And I figured, well, if that's an underdog story, then so is this. He said, no, it's not. So I went and found something, you can find anything on the internet, right, that actually said this was an underdog story. And here's why it's an underdog story. Because they were 5 brothers from the ghetto that were probably like me, told by the age of 16 years old they'd be dead or in prison. I also think that sometimes when looking at this movie, it's the same as like watching the TV show The Wire. One of the things that bothered me the most about America when The Wire came out is that white America was like, oh my God, this is happening in the world. Yes, that's always been happening in the world. You just had your eyes closed and didn't want to see it. But I also say this about this movie, and I'm going to take a line from Tretch from Naughty by Nature. If you could follow this one, Vic, you're a New Yorker. If you ain't from the ghetto, then don't come to the ghetto. Because you wouldn't understand the ghetto. So stay the fuck out of the ghetto. Some things are for some people, some things are not. This movie was for the culture. I thought it pushed the culture forward. It gave us actors that we have not seen in films. Black America constantly crazy about we need new actors in Hollywood. And for a while there, all we got was Morris Chestnut, Tay Diggs, you know, and Omar Epps. And this movie introduced us to some different cast of Black actors who have done well for themselves since this. I thought this movie was damn near flawless, but I gotta agree with you guys. Even watching it as many times I've watched it, I've watched this movie at least 15 times. My wife loves this movie. Like, you think I'm obsessed with shit? Be married to the woman I'm married to. Okay, it's definitely drags. It definitely gets to that part when they go through the whole thing with Eazy-E, and they also, to me, did a good part to go back. It's played on the rap. What would you call them? Not beefs, but hypotheticals, or dirt sheets, or things. I can't find the word. Actually, it escapes me right now. But conspiracy theories. There it is. Of Eazy-E was injected with AIDS needle during that fight scene with Suge Knight and that crew. That's where that whole thing came from, and they put in here. Other besides the guy being a horrible Tupac, and my guy who actually plays Snoop Doggy Dogg in this movie, Lakeith Stanfield is one of the best actors out there right now. Okay, you can see him in Black Klansman. You can see him in the Book of Clarence. He's been on the TV show Atlanta. That guy is doing his thing. Okay, but to me, those are my final thoughts about this movie. Before I give you my thumbs up, thumbs down, get your final thoughts, executive consultant. If anybody got any quotables, now is the time to actually let them go, because frankly, how do you go from selling rocks in the dope house to eating dinner in the White House?
Another problem I have with this movie, nothing is ever going to be actual. And there's a saying that you always hear about from historians: to the victor goes spoils, the person who writes the history books are the people who survived it, right? But there's another movie out that gives you a different portrayal of some of the stuff that happens, because they'll notice there were a lot of things that was left out of this movie. It is called Surviving Compton.
Okay.
Which was on Lifetime.
That had to do with this one, but okay.
Some years ago. Well, because there was a scene, right? You know what? I always knew Shug was a gangster.
Is that AJ Francis? No, I'm just joking. Go ahead.
They always find somebody to play a good Shug Knight in all these movies. But anyway, there was a scene where Shug Knight was just being abused. And Dr. Dre came out like the hero, in that movie, in that scene, I should say. And it's what made him want to leave Shug Knight. Because he just, he's such an outstanding guy, right? Then you see Surviving Compton, you see all the stuff that he did to his ex.
Which is no secret, though. People knew that.
No secret. But they did a good job trying to hide it in this movie. And right
in the movie, I'm gonna keep out all my bad shit.
Yeah,
if I was doing heroin in the bathroom with about 4, meth heads, I don't want the world to know that.
This is why I said, whoever's writing the history books is usually the one that comes out on top. I understand. I respect it. However, before I give any kind of
God bless you.
Anything when it comes to this movie, I would be remiss not to mention that, because she needs to be her voice needs to be heard.
Michelle A.
In the meantime, this movie was very long. I needed a break.
Any quotables for you? Such a break. He took his glasses off, y'all. I know this is going to be a thumbs down. Vic, you have any quotables in this movie and your final thoughts? Because I got several of them, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? Yes, I've watched this movie a ton of times.
Well, nah. This just the thing about this movie. I think it was good. I think it was good to put out, because a lot of people forgot about that time. One of the aftermaths of this movie is everybody started making their straight out of this area, straight out of that area, straight out of this, straight out of that t-shirts.
Social media, yeah,
and also, you know, that their main song, the main song that they came up with, a lot of people started doing like remakes of, you know, like there was this one spoof called "Straight Outta Gotham" that was
I saw
very
that.
funny,
Hilarious, hilarious, as you would say.
but you know, it's definitely a timepiece that talks about a lot of things, you know. So you know, at the end of the day, like you got to care about the content in order to
Understand.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So it's not going to be for everybody, but you know, just like everything that was happening to black people in black neighborhoods, everybody else was just oblivious to, you know. But at the end of the day, like you have to care about the neighborhood in order to know what's going on. So like, you know, all those people that, you know, didn't give a shit, and all of a sudden when they're seeing things on TV, like, and they're seeing things like Rodney King, like I remember that Rodney King situation vividly, because it was just like everybody was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this," and blah blah blah. But then,
where you been?
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things, like, you know, all right, you're clearly showing that,
and still horrific.
Yeah,
whether you've seen it before, whether it was new to you or not, that it's still horrific to see how they
exactly. I mean, because unfortunately, sometimes things like that can be so common that you just see it as commonplace, you know. And for the most part, that's one of the reasons why F the Police came out, why you have this whole situation of people not trusting the police and all of that. But then at the same time, back then, the majority of the police guys were Italian and Irish, at least here in New York. You know what I mean? But for the most part, but the whole point is just that the majority of the police force wasn't like it is now, where it looks like the neighborhood that it's in. I mean, at least here in New York, but like in most places now, they're trying to do a police force that's a little bit more integrated. Even though they showed the black cop being an asshole in this movie, I certainly think that a lot of things have changed, because, you know, I certainly don't see people getting stopped like that. Like what happened here for anymore, just for how they look, because that was one of the main things that got me. Like these guys getting pretty much just got stopped for looking a certain way. If they were all dressed in suits, would that have happened?
That still happens. In all fairness, I've been victimized since I've been in Orlando. I've been targeted in Virginia. It still happens more often than I think other communities will know and understand. That's why it got to a point where I've always stood by Black Lives Matter, the movement. No, I wasn't saying white lives don't matter. No, I'm not saying blue lives don't matter or this life don't matter. Y'all were not the ones being videotaped and broadcasted all over TV for these kind of things and not having any justice come about it. That's what spawned it. Black Lives Matter. That's what, you know, and that's the thing about this movie too. And I don't want to make sure that I stick up for that part, because Chris is being right about some of the things he's saying, in my opinion. And let's not act like these guys were righteous in their movements for making these songs. They just brought awareness to a situation that other people didn't know about. I like the line that he says, see, I'm a journalist too, except for I'm fucking brutally honest. You know what I mean? And I live by that. I say it all the time when as a broadcast journalism major. That's what I was taught. And I know people say, well, the news lies. Do you know what they do? But I was taught the right way. You know what I mean? I was taught that you don't give out fake news. You get a source, you stick with it, and you have all that happen. Bye, Felicia. Let's go ahead and give our final thoughts on, our thumbs up, thumbs down. And I'm going to start with you, Mr. Unpop Review, Vic Damone Jr. I like your shirt.
I thought that was a nice add-on to this movie when they kicked the girl out of the thing and said bye, Felicia. I love how they took that from Friday and added that to this.
Yeah.
I thought that was just brilliant.
I mean, it has its faults, like the White Sox hat. That hat wasn't in that time frame. I saw that from the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
And the White Sox had that hat didn't come until 92. Also, the scene where they got the motorcycle bikes going down the street. That's not a Compton thing. That's a Baltimore, Philadelphia thing. And that was not a thing in 1988, 89. Also, so they had some things they made current for today's current audience to see, right? And so thumbs up, thumbs down there, Vic.
Oh, thumbs up. Thumbs up. Yeah, it's a good movie.
This is a good movie. Thumbs up. I like it. The light-skinned black thumbs up. And you, executive consultant, where's the line for this movie?
Before I left, it would have got an easy thumbs down. I thoroughly enjoyed the movie after I got back and watched it again. And I don't think it was too long. I did. I don't think it should shave 20 minutes off. I think it was perfect timing for that movie. So gets a thumbs up from me.
Wow. I do. I thought when the Eazy-E scene with the AIDS and the saying goodbye and that kind of thing, which also him catching HIV and database also brought AIDS awareness to America as well. Having someone big like him pass away.
Awareness.
I'm sorry. Thank you for correcting me. So for me, also thumbs up right now. So 3 thumbs up all around for Straight Outta Compton. Have you seen it? Have you watched it? Do you want to see it after this review? Comment below. Let us know. We'll be back next week and we'll give you, ooh, it's cold outside. Cool runnings. No, that's the last movie. I'm sorry, wrong. Delete that part. So come back next week and you'll see us do The White Man Can't. Oh, shit, I didn't have it right. Damn it. You know what? I'm out of here. Somebody wrote the damn tape. Peace.
Cruising down the street in my 6'4".
Hey, that was dope. Listening to Compton's very own Ice Cube, Eazy-E, and Dr. Dre. I gotta tell you, you are witnessing history.